Hi y'all, welcome to my weekly lecture. This week I am going to be talking about chapter 6, which is active listening. Um, this chapter just kind of touches base on what active listening is and the 5 steps and the 5 functionings of listening and understanding and, just preventing incompetent listening, trying to better our listening skills when having a conversation with someone and just making us better communicators overall. So to begin, I guess I'll talk about the listening 5-step process. The first one is receiving, attending, understanding, responding, and recalling. So when you're having a conversation with someone, you definitely really want to engage in the conversation, and that doesn't mean just talk back and forth. That means that you really need to listen to what they have to say, retain the information that they're telling you so you can give your feedback on whatever the information is. If they tell you something, you want to be able to know what they're talking about so you can continue to have the conversation and you're not just, sitting there not knowing what they're talking about. So you want to make sure that you really understand so you can respond to them in a way that, is not off-putting and doesn't make them feel uncomfortable or that you're not listening to them. I definitely have my fair share of experience when I'm talking to someone and you can just tell they don't really care, they're not paying attention, and a lot of that has to do with like the outside world. And this chapter really touches base on people like trying to multitask, like they could be playing on their phone, or they could be reading a book or something and not really paying attention to you, and that is distracting them from your conversation. And most people that try to multitask think that they're good at it, that they can do multiple things at once, but studies show that you can't. Like, your brain needs to be focused on one thing so you can fully be engaged in that one thing, and all of your energy and all of your time can go into that one thing. So when you're having a conversation with someone and you really want to listen to them, put your phone away, put everything down, and just really engage in the conversation. And this chapter really helps you understand ways on how to do that. But there are 4 different listening types. The first one is action-orientated, and this one is mostly just like when you're telling a story, you just want to get right to the point. Like you don't want to tell backstories or nothing. You just want to get right to it. And then time-orientated, that's more of a me. That's kind of how I am. I like a detailed story. When I'm listening, I want every little detail so everything can make sense and you don't have to ask so many questions afterwards. People-orientated, I kind of dabble in this too. They strive to demonstrate empathy. So when you're talking to someone, you really want to understand their feelings. You want to be there for them. You really want to engage in them so you can, kind of feel how they're feeling in a way. You can, be, completely transparent with someone and you can feel the way they feel and understand their feelings. And then the last one is content-orientated. So it's just when you're having a conversation with someone and they use a lot of facts. They're really fact-based. They like to evaluate the facts and the details. They like to get everything correct. They like to just analyze everything. So that's kind of what that means. But there are multiple ways that we can improve our active listening. We can, like I said earlier, put the phone away, get away from the outside world, and just really become, face-to-face with someone and, touch base and be heart-to-heart with someone, because it is hard to have a conversation with someone when you can just tell they're not paying attention, they really don't care, and that really is that hurts your feelings sometimes when you really are passionate about something that you're talking about and the person that you're talking to just doesn't, it's just like no emotion. They just kind of sit there and they're just, no eye contact, and they're not, they're kind of just like looking around or checking their watch or something, just not really paying attention to you. And I think a lot of us are guilty of that, like having a conversation, you'll check your phone to see what time it is or do this or do that, but then you also kind of just, yeah, sure, like nod your head and kind of make it seem like you're paying attention, but you're really not. But most of the time we pick up on that. The person you're communicating with can pick up on that. So eye contact is a big thing when you're talking to someone, and it also is a respect thing too. When someone's talking to you, look them in the eye. And body language has a lot to do with it too. You know, if you're sitting there and your arms are crossed or you're like looking like this, like no one wants to have a conversation with someone like that because obviously you're not engaged in that conversation. So, yeah, just reading this chapter really opened your eyes on how important it is to actively listen to someone and how to rebuild your communication skills, because if you're not the best communicator, you can still be a good listener. And sometimes that's all somebody wants, is just to have someone to listen to them and really mean it and really be empathetic towards them. There's a lot of things in this chapter that you can learn, not only to become a good listener, but to be a good communicator. And those kind of go hand in hand with each other. But there is a table on page 176. It's table 6.1, and it shows you how to be a more active listener, and it gives you a couple strategies there. So if you're interested in learning how to be an active listener and kind of build up your communication skills, I would definitely check out that table. So in conclusion, I just want y'all to know that this chapter teaches you how to be a better listener, teaches you skills and strategies and different ways to become an active listener so you can have a good conversation with someone, and hopefully that can build up your relationships with people, build new relationships if you are an active listener. So I hope you guys learned a little something. Good luck with the rest of the semester, and yeah, thanks for listening.